That's live?
We live.
We live.
We live right now.
This is live.
How's it going, everybody?
Put this thing on the ground.
Put this thing on the ground.
Welcome to the Myconaut Podcast.
Woo!
I am John Hedgelin. This is Josh Maurus. We are part of Myconaut, the band, from Meadville, Pennsylvania.
We're 2 out of the 5, but
Yes. It's hard to get everybody together all at once.
John and I are the ones that live closest together, and we're the single ones, so it's easy for us.
Yeah, when we say we're from Meadville, Josh and I are really the only ones from Meadville. So,
yeah. So I just thought we could do a podcast. Question, like, why would we do a podcast? Just kind of, get more intimate with the band, get to know the band better, give us an opportunity to get some content out there, share what we got going on, shit like that. But yeah, our other 3 band members, we got Izzy Myers on guitar, Sage Byam on vocals, and Mike Davis on bass. So what we got, I think, let's just talk about, I'd say, kind of shows we have coming up first. What all do we have?
yeah, we have... I'm trying to think. So the next one we have is with Cheap, Ralphie's Gone Blind, and the Grots, which is... The Grots is a new band.
Who's in that band?
So I've heard. I don't know.
Okay.
Cool. That's going to be at Philly on the Rocks on March 2nd. Hopefully this will be edited and put out before then. We're going to find out. But and then the next one is, I do believe is it the grunge one? Was that March or May?
That was May.
That was
May.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
that was May.
I think the next one would be in Pittsburgh.
The STP show.
Yeah, the Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah,
show.
March 23rd on a Saturday, we will be at the Hard Rock in Pittsburgh.
Second time playing in the Berg. We played there last month, but I'm excited for this one. I think this one will be a little bit more. I mean, it was surprising the last time. I wasn't expecting like 300 tickets sold. And
yeah, I wasn't expecting 70-year-old dudes in AC/DC T-shirts coming up and saying how cool we sounded. I was like kind of blown away. But yeah, I think the STP show, that'll be definitely more our crowd.
Yeah,
sure.
more the crowd, and it's just kind of more downtown too.
Yeah.
And I think people just generally associate Hard Rock Cafe with a more bigger stage, or
Right.
it's more known than the Craft House. But
Right.
Craft House is a cool place. I liked it there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
So we got that. John and I also have been supporting Fungi Flows, and he's been supporting us too. If you're not familiar with Fungi, he's a local rapper, hip-hop artist out of Pittsburgh. We're in the same family as in mushroom-influenced music, but he's been on his quest to break the world record for longest freestyle rap, which is currently just over 48 minutes, or 48 hours, and he's looking to do 50 hours here. And it's been a blast. We played live with him for his 24-hour rapathon, and that was a lot we've That was
That's going to be his 50 hours. That's the 23rd, right?
Yeah, February 23rd.
February 23rd.
Yeah, his 50 hours, February 23rd. We're not playing that one, but we are sponsors of that, and I think personally I'm going to go down there, but
yeah, I want to try to make it for sure.
Yeah. I plan on going for sure.
Yeah.
Either Friday or Saturday, but he's going to be up in Meadville here, up this way on March 30th at Voodoo. I'm guessing he's opening. That's just my guess. But he's with Land of Panda and Higher Vibration, and
Right.
John and I are going to join him, which I think is so cool that he's up in Meadville. I thought that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not often too many bigger names from at least Pittsburgh distance away make it up to Meadville, so that's pretty
It's
cool.
pretty cool. A couple dudes from stoner rock, prog rock, alternative metal band and bust out the acoustics and jam with a rapper. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited that he has that capability, and it worked out pretty well the last few times. We got pretty good feedback. But yeah, that's on March 30th at Voodoo, at the original Voodoo downtown on Arch Street.
And then the next one after that that we have booked so far, April 12th, we're going to be at the Riverside Brewing Company in Cambridge Springs. That's going to be with Identity Classified, which I believe, I think they're out of Erie. They might be out of Edinburgh. I'm not entirely sure on that. I know some of them live in Meadville. Some of the members live in Meadville.
Was, I think all over.
Yeah.
I think a little down south, a little bit too.
Yeah,
but spread out.
But they're cool. We did a show with them at Philly. Was it the end of last year, something like that, with Souls Collapse?
Yeah, it was in September, mid-September.
Yeah, okay.
I'm the guy that remembers everything for whatever reason.
I'm gonna leave most of remembering stuff up to him for sure.
Mid-September, we played at Philly there, and yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
they've one of our. We're gonna talk about some of our influences later, but usually the number one thing that we get from response from people, and just us band members feel the same way, as our Tool is our biggest influence. And I know when we played with them, they did what was it, Sober? They did Sober cover.
Identity Classified. Yeah.
They did a cover of Sober, which is pretty sweet. But it's nice to have a band kind of in the same ballpark as us around here that we could get with shows from time to time. But
they're a 6-piece too, I believe. There was like 6 of
I think
them,
they label themselves as eclectic metal. Is that what they were like? What that?
Oh, okay. So that's how you pronounce that word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, eclectic.
Yeah, eclectic metal, but which I'm sure that's just their own sweet term. But yeah, I'm excited for that. We've never played at the Riverside yet. I've never been there for a show.
No, actually, we're going to be inside too, which makes sense because beginning of April, it's still going to be pretty cold
hit or
out.
Miss,
Hit or miss. But outside, they have a badass stage outside at the Riverside. I was looking at some pictures, and that'd be awesome to get to play that stage in the summertime sometime. But yeah, we're there April 12th, and then
the 420 Fest.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Dread Metal's 420 Fest.
Yeah, we play that Sunday. We play the 21st.
We're gonna be on 3:00 at Sunday. Sunday.
Yep.
At Basement Transmissions. That's gonna be pretty cool. Even playing on a Sunday, that's gonna be a party for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard.
See, I'm glad we're having this discussion. Like I was saying, I think yesterday, like I know I was saying to somebody at work, like I'm glad we're having this because I need to get caught up on all of our dates. Like
I know I want to make something online that shows.
We have a website too, and
add to it, and put it on the website.
Well, how can people find the website?
The website is one of the links on our Facebook page. If you scroll down, I think it's actually one of the main links when you go to our Facebook page. It's myconautband.com/wix.com.
And that's
just because we don't have a domain.
Sorry, John. I was going to say that's MYCONAUT.
Yes.
It's not a common, easy spellable name, so just wanted to throw that out there for anybody confused on how to spell that.
Yeah, it's not really. I don't know if it's classified as a word yet. I don't think it's actually.
I don't think it's in the dictionary.
It's not in a dictionary.
It's commonly used.
Yeah, it is.
For sure. I thought it was cool. That's one fun fact about Fungi Flows is he told us him and his friend group that are kind of close and do a lot of things together. They used to refer to their little posse as the Myconauts.
The Myconauts.
And any time that I walk in when he's playing his rapathons, he's always like Myconauts in the house. He probably doesn't even remember my first name, but I mean.
Mushroom Josh. Your first name's Mushroom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last name Josh.
Shout out Josh Winwood when you walked in. Is that Mushroom Josh? That's awesome. Yeah. So then, So that's 421, and I think the next one is the one you were talking about, the one in May, the grunge.
May 18th.
Yeah, May 18th.
Grunge Fest, also at Basement Transmissions. One more thing I wanted to say about the 420 Fest is that's a huge fest. It's going on all weekend.
Yeah, we should add on that.
From Fridays. Is it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yeah.
I think there's like 34 bands, something like that. Stacked lineup. Just
shout out to Dread Metal for all he does in the community.
Yes, thank you, Jay. Jay, you've done fucking everything.
So much for this scene and community. We appreciate you.
I have to worry about that later. Hopefully it's still recording.
I seen it go down.
Yeah. I'm just going to assume that it is. And then, yes, May 18th at Basement Transmissions, there's a grunge fest, which you might have to check that out, because I know it's Autotrocity.
They're the host.
Yeah, Autotrocity is the host. They invited us on.
Don't want to give you bad information.
Yeah, we don't want to. I don't want to tell you that there's bands there and they're not going to be there.
But yeah, as we plan on doing one of these once a month. Of course, as the time goes on, we'll pick up shows and we'll keep you updated with further podcasts. And like I said, hopefully we'll get our website up to speed all the time, so people can reference that. And we're most active, I would say, on Facebook, but we do have an Instagram too and a YouTube page. But most of your questions and whatnot can be found on Facebook. What'd you find out?
So May 18th, 90s grunge night. It's Less Than Expected, Us, Ladders, Autotrocity, and Fog Giant.
Nice.
It's an all-ages show, $10 admission. 5 p.m. the doors open. And yeah, that'll be at Basement Transmissions.
Nice. Love the theme.
Yeah, it's awesome. Little Kirby on the Nevermind album cover.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool.
Honestly, when we started playing, I guess we can move on to that. I think we'll just cap that on the shows. That's what we have so far, I think, through May. Like I just mentioned, like the further we get on the year, we'll add shows and whatnot. We were just supposed to play. We got offered to play in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, with Haitian,
and there was a few other ones, but
it was Destroy Create that.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to Destroy Create for throwing our name out there.
Yeah.
It was a short notice, and that's a 4-hour drive from here. But Sage, our vocalist, is recovering from illness and didn't feel like he'd be up healthy enough to make that trip. But hopefully we'll make it up there soon. And again, shout out to Destroy Create for throwing our name out there, and hopefully we can make that show happen soon.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that people have thrown our names. Actually, the show we got with Destroy Create, the production company that was from Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Something New Mexico, something.
Okay.
I forget the exact name.
Yeah, you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, something like that. But he just like randomly found us, and I think he said either like one of the Erie bands. I don't know if it was Autotrocity had like previously thrown our name out there before, but
cool.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that people throwing our names out there. That's been awesome. Everybody in the music scene's been.
Oh yeah, it's been great.
More
met
than
so
awesome.
We've met so many people just in our short time period. I mean, we really this summer. I mean, yeah, this summer is basically when it'll be 2 years because we started with Sage and getting out in the scene summer of 2022. So
yeah.
We haven't even been on the scene yet for 2 years, and we've just met so many great people, and
yeah,
it's been awesome.
We've been together. This will be what 7 years.
That's perfect. I was gonna use the grunge segue, and that's another one. But just some band history and more information about us. Mike, our bass player, we've been playing together. We started playing instruments at the same time. We picked it up in 2012, and I used to live on North Main Street. And we were the foundation house for It's a famous house. Like, you know, John's always said he wasn't there during that time period, but he feels like he was there. And I mean, how many times do like I'll be around a random person, they'll be like, "Man, we used to be at your house back in the day," and you just rub it in your face.
Yeah, all the stories. Like, it's like, man, I really wish I could have been
It
there.
was,
Sounds
yeah.
like an awesome time.
Hey, knock it off, or quit fucking crying. It was a magical time, but anyway, I lived there, and we all, for many bands around the scene. Logan Batten, who's in how many bands? Like, I know when Logan first started to come around, he was still at W&J, and he wasn't even a musician yet. And he got in. I mean, I'm sure he was interested in it, but like his beginnings was at that house. You know what I mean? Just hanging around. Like when he first started coming over, he wasn't a musician yet. And Mike and I had about year and a half under our belt. But yeah, so he was one. Kevin Kodum. He's in a
Mike was just playing guitar back then, wasn't he?
Yeah, Mike was guitar, kind of a little bit of bass, but he started off mainly as a guitarist. And it's funny. Mike always says that him and I are like switched because I'm the guitar player and he's the bass player. But I'm more, if you on paper, more of a bass player, and he's more of a guitar player on paper. But yeah, like Kevin Kodum, who's in Royak. I think both. Logan and Kevin are now in Spades. I know Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin just recently joined Spades. Kevin was actually over here the other day. Mike came over on Monday, and we jammed a little bit, just fucked around, you know.
I did see he posted something in the chat, and I was like, ooh. I was like, damn, I wish I was off right now. I was at work. That sounds like a good time.
He's like, anybody fucking smoke a bowl? Yeah, dude, come on over, man.
Yeah, you're like, I'm here. But yeah, and speaking of Identity Classified, I'm Dustin, the guitar player. I remember he used to come over on occasion at the house. Yeah, but yeah, we'll get back on track to us. But yeah, so many people at that house throughout the scene. But yeah, Mike and I, 2012, and then we, kind of got our identity and just any music we could. We didn't start playing out. We played occasionally at Bosco's.
Right, and I had always said it's crazy that we never ran into each other down there because I went to a lot of the open mics at Bosco's, and I don't think I ever really jammed with anyone down there except maybe like once or twice, but I would just go down and they just let me play a drum solo, and that was it. Yeah,
it was like 2013, 2014 because I moved into that house in August 2013. Like I said, Mike and I started playing just music in general in 2012. But then I forget, was it through that wedding that you met Mike? And you were friends with Sage prior too.
Yeah, I had known
and
Sage.
Sage would occasionally come over to my house and play, but he wasn't one of the focal points. He was at my house maybe once or twice.
Okay.
Like I do remember jamming with Sage at the house, but like it wasn't like Mike or Tony or Kevin or like any like that.
I had actually met Sage and Kevin at the same time.
Okay.
This was early 2012, like January 2012. At Scott Lesher's. He's a guitar player. He had a band for a while. I think it was called the Dead Roses. This was years ago, a long time ago. And he asked me to be the drummer for his band. And Sage was one of the guitar players. I think he was doing like rhythm guitar, and Kevin was actually on bass.
That's crazy.
And Scott was playing guitar, and it's funny because a couple times, like during practice, like Sage will get a guitar and he'll start playing one of Scott's songs. I'm like, is that from? He's like, yeah, dude.
Just when he picks up a guitar in general, just because he's a vocalist, we're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And
he's actually a pretty good guitar player. Yeah.
But yeah, so like you got introduced to Mike somehow.
Through that, the wedding. Yeah, it was Scott wanted to play a buddy's wedding, and we were just going to do some covers, and somehow they'd known Mike and knew he played bass, so
for sure. And then
Mike and I were talking at the wedding, and he's like, dude, if you want to play some heavy stuff, I know a guitar player, dude. I was like, let's set it up, and that was what, September
We started playing in September 2017.
Right, but it wasn't. It was only like a week later, maybe.
Yeah.
After the wedding that
For sure.
We started, and yeah, September 9th. I always remember the date on my phone because I got a recording of the first thing we ever played, and the first song we ever played that we recorded was Aftershock. And
That's dope.
Back then we were calling it, I think it was PBH. Yeah. Poopy Buffalo.
Well, it was before that because I don't know what we were calling it back then, but PBH came from Derek.
Right.
And Derek wasn't around at that point.
Right.
I mean, he's around, but he wasn't hanging out here anyway.
He's the inspiration for a lot of those old names.
Yeah, for sure.
FDR and
yeah, a lot of them. But yeah, so we formed in as a 3-piece with me, Mike, and John here in September 2017, and then it was 2019 that Izzy started working with me at Timber Creek, and for whatever reason, I just remember like him coming in with I think his brother at one point and just talking about playing guitar, and his brother knew that I played guitar somehow. I remember it was random because I didn't really know them at that point.
You talking about Dom?
Yeah, Dom, and then he just kind of, this was way before Izzy even played, I think. Not way before, but at least a decent amount before, and he asked who I was and made a comment about me playing guitar, and I was like, oh, I didn't. It just was weird. But yeah, Izzy started working with me in 2019, and it's a funny story because he parked where I was parked, and I was walking into work while he was coming out. It was when we were leaving, or either coming or going. But he had it was summertime. It was nice. He had his windows down, and he was just jamming the fuck out of Tool. It was Undertow.
Nice.
Like he was, and I instantly was like, all right, perfect. So like I started talking to him about Tool and music and whatnot, and told him that we play, and asked if he wanted to play.
Like, hey, do you like Tool? Well, come join our band, dude.
Yeah, and I know at first it was weird back then. Mike was a little hesitant for adding a second guitarist, but I was like, I'm not just bringing in Polyphia or somebody in here to shred away and change our sound. I was like, I think he knows how to add some Adam Jones or just atmospheric type
Yeah,
stuff.
he was,
and he can shred too, obviously.
He was definitely a good addition to the band.
Oh, just so much.
I had known, because I had known Izzy for years. I had known that he played a little bit of guitar, but I didn't know that he was as good as he was. I didn't know he had been playing that long. But
and then once he was officially in, then it was like, oh yeah, obviously this is the right thing to do. And then we went through a time of just kind of finding our sound and focusing on the instrumentals and whatnot. We didn't have a vocalist, and then
that was rough. That was rough.
It was long between because he joined in like end of July of 2019. That's like when he joined, right in there, right around his birthday. And between then and like spring, like late 2021, early 2022, we were kind of unsure on the vocal output of the band. It was hard to, we had our friend Derek was, and he's a great musician and trombone player, but it was kind of hard finding how we all mesh together and whatnot for vocals.
Yeah, because Derek is a good vocalist, but he's more, Robert.
And Derek's gonna be on here in future episodes, I'm sure. You'll meet Derek. He's got the most. Once he's, I don't know, comfortable, he's got the most personality of all of us. So.
I feel like that's probably when the podcast is
gonna end.
People are gonna come here for Myconaut, and they're gonna stay for Derek.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. But yeah, it was kind of a, like I said, like early in the podcast, we've only been in the scene for not even 2 years now, but we at least John and I and Mike have been playing together for a while, and then Izzy a little bit later, and but like once we got that vocalist, it was we made great strides in short time, but
Yeah.
it just took us forever to find it. I know Sage was in Ohio, and Sage is our
Yeah, he was still in Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. He's our fifth and member of the group, and he joined. It was like end of 2021. Like it was like he came over a few times in December,
Right.
and then
January he moved to. It was either January or February. He moved to Cochranton.
yeah, he's in Cochranton now, and then
Not to give out his location or nothing.
I mean, we all live in northwestern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But then he came around, and Izzy had to leave because he was having his baby, his daughter.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
it was kind of funny because I like specifically remember he was talking how he was listening to the Swords album, Apocryphon.
Yeah, and that was my first introduction to the Sword.
Yeah.
Hearing about it. I had heard him before, I think, but when he had mentioned it, I was like, I'm going to check him out more, and I've been hooked ever since. I listened to Lawless Lands today probably like 4 times in a row, dude. That's my favorite song off of Warp Riders.
I told you that. I remember me. That was me. That was one of my on my Spotify Wrapped. That was literally in the fall.
The most listened to song or
It
the
wasn't
album?
it was on there, but I had found it. Because they do your stats for the year, but I found it at the very end of the year, and I brought it in. You know what I mean? I just listened to it so many times.
I got to get on Spotify
I'm the one who
more.
like kept showing you the like that song because I kept
Yeah.
playing I was just getting the habit of that. But
Oh,
yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that is
The whole album's great. Warp Riders by The
Yes.
Sword. Check it out.
Warp
it's
Riders.
pretty dope.
for sure.
Definitely, I'd say in the past few years has been a pretty big influence on the band.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm always.
I wouldn't say everybody passionately listens to The Sword in the band, but
I figured here soon at least I can speak for me and you, and I can maybe do a little bit touch on, but I don't want to speak for everybody else. So we'll like talk about all our influences and just talking music's so fun and because it's so awesome. But kind of circling back around, yeah. So like Izzy was leaving. I know his daughter actually has a February birthday, so we're coming up on the. I think she's 2 now. Yeah.
2.
Yeah, I think she just had her. Must have been last week. Had her second birthday.
Okay.
But I remember he was listening to that Apocryphon album, and he got inspiration for that one riff in Pawn. Pawn's our lead single out on Spotify.
Was that the song that we were writing right before he was going to be away for a while? Because he was like, he'd written most of the lyrics, and he's like, all right,
that was
here,
it.
Figure it out. I'm not going to be here for a while."
and at least the groovy part, the groove riff in Pawn, he came up with that riff, right at that time point. It was like right when he was leaving, and that's because he was like really listening to the Sword album at that point, and he got that groove riff was like inspired from him listening to that album. But
Out of all our songs, Pawn definitely sounds the closest, like as far as influential wise, closer to The Sword
oh yeah,
than any other of our songs for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and then once Sage came, Izzy came. He was gone for a few months, roughly, maybe not quite 2 months, but once he came back, we were officially all together, and we've kind of just, we've experienced so much since then. We finally had our whole piece, and we all bring. I look at it as like a pizza or just a puzzle. It's like we all bring unique pieces that the others might not have, and we all contribute to the band in so many different ways, and it's just awesome. It's hard. It's hard for bands and just people in general. Just think about it. Trying to get together with your friends. Everybody's got lives. They got so much going on in their lives.
Right.
But to be able to, have a 5-piece band, more people, the harder it is. Be able to get together. We'd love to get together more, but just in general, and also just be so cohesive with our inspirations and motivations for the band. It's really, I feel very blessed. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. There was something I was gonna say, and it was off of what you were just talking about.
I'm sure it'll come to you soon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's kind of our history. So even though, Mike and I have been playing together. This summer will be 12 years, and then the three of us, it's been, 6.5 years now, the three of us anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll be 7 years in September, and then Izzy, in a few months, it'll be 5 years for him, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
He's been around for 5 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, time's been flying. Seems like it's been flying more now that we've gained some traction and we're doing shows now, but it's all fun.
It's so fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I love it. I love you get to meet people. You have creative outlet. You get to, it's awesome.
It
Game
just
deal?
came back
Awesome.
to me, yeah. So all these songs, we went and recorded them down in Pittsburgh at the Vault.
Yeah.
We did initially 6, right?
6, yeah, 6, yeah.
Unfortunately, Disavow, one of the songs, was just a little much. I was going to try and go down and punch up my drums. Dropped it, so there's only going to be 5 songs on this album.
It'll eventually be put out, but just for this first song.
Hopefully, yeah, it'll be coming out. I didn't want to talk about a release date because I know it's a touchy subject. We don't know when it's coming out, but hopefully soon. All those songs.
I will talk about the album more, unless you just want to talk about it now.
Oh yeah, I'm down to talk about it.
You go ahead, continue, and I'll add on whenever you're done.
As far as like the lyrics went and everything, it was kind of like a collect. We all kind of just sat up here in this room in the winter months and just like wrote the lyrics out, sat down in the living room and wrote the lyrics out. So that was like another.
That's cool. I'll add on to that real quick, and because that's kind of a cool segue from what I was just saying. Was like we all bring certain talents and whatnot to the band, but kind of our formula. I mean, I'd love to expand, and as we all get better at certain things and get more comfortable. But I usually kind of instrumentally have a song down or like have a riff, and then John and I will kind of get it completed instrumentally, and then
hash some rhythm sections out.
Yeah. Basically, I have like I come up with like the music portion as much as I can. It's usually I'd say in the ballpark of like 80%, 85% done.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Mike kind of touches it up wherever he thinks it's best to like move here and move not. And Izzy's really good at melodies, Before Sage came in the band, he was like the sole person who was coming up with the melodies, and he's great with lyrics too. And now Sage is getting more comfortable with like the writing process, and him.
Yeah,
I think before he felt like he was coming into a band, and he didn't want to step on toes, but now he's been in it long enough, he feels comfortable.
That's what I was saying, because we had written all the lyrics, so we're just like throwing all this at Sage and like, here, figure it out,
sure.
dude. Especially with Aftershock. Aftershock is one of the weirdest melodies that I think we have in any of our songs. It's really cool. It's really cool, but that was definitely he struggled with that one. But now that we're making new songs, writing new songs, like our newest ones we've been performing live, Rooted, and we have Rebirth, which we've only played once, I think, live so far.
Yeah, just once.
He's written all the lyrics and the melodies for those songs, and they're phenomenal. I love them. I love our new songs. So yeah, he's definitely taking the ball with this one.
And Sage is also the. I want to get this out there too, because I don't think we do it enough. But he's the artist for the band. He's like he does our logo and all the drawings and stuff like that. So, like the Myconaut logo for the podcast, nice. You're gonna see our mushroom logo. Yeah, like that's all Sage. He's an incredible artist. So, he brings, killer vocals. Great with lyrics and melodies for writing too, and then he also is an incredible artist, and he's got that going for him too. So but yeah, usually that's how we got our song, and then at the end we kind of touch it up. Occasionally I will present like ideas for I think a theme of a song, but I usually personally don't. I think out of everybody, I've contributed the least to the lyrics. Anyway, I have anyway.
You were pretty much, maybe not the lyrics wise, but you were pretty much responsible for Parasite, like as far as the inspiration for that.
Yeah,
song.
and
and Gray Matter.
Gray Matter, yeah, Gray Matter's definitely was. I threw out bullet points, and that was like my theme, and I helped with the lyrics a little bit there. But yeah, the idea of Parasite, yeah. But yeah, Like I said, Izzy and Sage, and I know you and Mike have done a lot with lyrics too. You guys do great, and then Izzy,
I was trying to really shove some lyrics and headload and on the brink of new and stuff like that. And they're like, on the brink of new. Come on, dude.
like I said, we all got our strengths and weaknesses, but yeah, Sage and Izzy do great on the melodies too. But you were talking about an album. Yeah, we went down at the Vault, and we recorded that in October of 2022. And so far, we just have one song out, and that's Pawn. The other 4 that we recorded for that album are Aftershock, Parasite, Gray Matter, and Headload. Those are the 4.
And Gray Matter is fully mixed.
Yeah, so
Gray Matter is fully mixed.
Three more songs left.
Maybe if we start a Patreon, we'll put Gray Matter on our Patreon.
Yeah. I know we've heard so much because it's been taking a very long time, and there's very supportive people out there, and just being as small as we are so far as a band too, we just appreciate the support no matter what, and we know we have a lot of anxious people out there who are waiting to hear it on streaming platforms and whatnot, and just hearing the rest of our songs. If you've came to any of our concerts, a lot of our songs in person, but it's different when you can hear it on Spotify or whatever. Right. Just a mixed and mastered version, and one that you can just play.
It's gonna be a banger. I can't wait to throw our album release party.
I know. I'm so anxious, but we do want to say thanks to Bob from the Vault for all he's done to help us.
Yeah, he's an awesome producer, an awesome guy.
Great guy, yeah, for sure. We're just anxious, right? I know he's a busy man, and him and his partner, is it Jimmy, right?
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yep. I know they have worked with like some really famous people, and
they actually, when Sage and I were down there in September last year, he took us upstairs and like showed us Jimmy's office and stuff, and he was telling us about like a lot of what they do there, and some of what they do there is like movie voiceovers. So like how in a movie like where the camera's behind someone and you can like see their mouth moving and they're talking, that's not actually them talking. That's like either them or somebody else talking at a later point, and they'll do that there at that studio.
Gotcha.
They'll do like movie voiceovers there.
Well, I'm just saying, I know that they're super busy and they got a lot of important people. So
yeah,
I understand. Yeah. I understand. Like there's an order of events, but we're all really excited and really.
It was definitely worth it though. We did get to record 100%. On pretty badass console.
The Neve.
Down there. The Neve. Yeah. I think it's the 8050 or 5080.
It was John Lennon's, right?
Mixing one of those up. It was George Harrison.
I'm sorry, George Harrison's. Yes,
yeah,
correct.
George Harrison from the Beatles, he had a studio in Nashville, and he owned this Neve console that the Vault now owns. And
there's other crazy. I know, like what?
I think he said Peter Frampton had recorded through it, and a lot of
that other thing in there was Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam.
Yeah, he had the
Nirvana.
2-inch tape reel that went with it. That Pearl Jam recorded their album 10 on it.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of history down there, and even the console itself, Nirvana's Unplugged from what was that 92.
94.
94. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna remember the dates for sure, if anything, more than I am. But it was all mixed through that board, I think he said.
Cool.
So
yeah, a lot of really cool shit, but we're excited. Like I said, we got basically 2 out of the 5 done. Didn't you say he was working on Parasite last time you talked to him? Or?
I think Aftershock.
Aftershock. Well, a third song. He was anyway. Okay, he was working on a third song. Maybe by I don't know. It's February. Maybe by like July.
Let's say summertime.
Summertime. I mean, that's a cool time to have a album release party in the summertime.
Yeah. Because then we could. The places to have it then are kind of pretty open. We could even do it at the stage downtown Meadville, or I was kind of leaning towards like somewhere up in Erie, possibly like either basement.
Oh, for sure.
Or Basement Transmissions would be cool. I like that venue.
Yeah,
that's a cool stage.
I don't disagree with that at all.
But
yeah, hopefully this year. I'm thinking maybe summer, late summer. Yeah, album's gonna be called Headload. It's gonna be all
Headload.
just like Pawn. It's gonna be on all streaming platforms.
Which almost was the band name for a second.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
we
Headload.
were originally called the Stoned Apes.
The Stone
I think that's
Apes.
kind of probably a good thing to segue into, like our name, Myconaut, and kind of just the identity of the band and.
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked about Tool kind of being a big influence in the Sword. So we'll do that. I think we'll just talk about kind of like the image of the band, ethos of the band, and kind of our individual
I think
influences, like me and you.
the obvious thing is we all love mushrooms very much. I do. I know Josh does. He's the only certified mycologist in the band.
Yeah.
But
I do that. I'll have to talk about that.
That's where
I plan
it
on talking
really
about later,
really
too.
stems from. Because I mean, mushrooms in general, especially psilocybin mushrooms, have definitely helped me a lot. And that was one thing we would always talk about getting together when we first got together, and wasn't long after like I think maybe Mike said let's just be the Stoned Apes, and
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's
For
what we
sure.
were for a long time.
And it's kind of like, Tool has Third Eye, and it's kind of like in the same ballpark as
Right.
what we were talking about, just kind of like that psychedelic imagery, and it just goes with the music too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're I would say our sound, the atmosphere of the band, yeah, it goes with it. But yeah, I personally do a lot of mushroom stuff. I'm a identifier for the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club. I also am like the walks chairman, so I schedule all the walks. But I do a lot of events with mushrooms, and I do a lot of stuff. But that's kind of the influence. But yeah, we were originally called the Stoned Apes, coming off the Stoned Ape theory, which was a Terrence McKenna.
Right. That'd be one thing we'd always talk about was Terrence McKenna.
Terrence McKenna,
which
yeah.
I still love listening to all his talks and everything on YouTube. I'll go back and listen to him.
For sure. John, why don't you go ahead and you can start it off. Talk about some of like your main influences for you playing. Kind of what you listen to, what kind of bands go into your like
I'll
influences for
I'm
playing.
gonna get a drink of water here real quick. Hopefully, me moving the mic around isn't.
I moved it
too
once.
much crazy noise.
Yeah, I moved it once.
Shut the fuck up!
I mean, I could start.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah. I'd say I first got into playing drums when I was about 10. I was showed my first drum beat ever, and it's actually pretty funny. It was Eric Smith.
Oh yeah.
When I think he had just started Tear from Grace. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we've played with those guys a few
But-
times anyway. Handful of times. They're great
Well,
guys.
this would have been years ago. Tear from Grace probably wasn't even a thing
For
at this
sure.
time, but
For sure.
his previous drummer for that band was actually the guy he showed me my first drum beat ever and let me play on his kit, and I was like 10 at the time. His dad and his dad's wife, my mom was friends with them, and they were
Yeah.
mutual friends. But 2 years later, when I was 12, I got my first kit, which was that Ludwig kit over there that I used forever.
Yeah.
And right around that time, my aunt's boyfriend at the time was big into Dream Theater.
Okay.
So the first drummer I was ever really introduced to was Mike Portnoy.
That's dope.
And I would just, I'm like 12, so this is like 2006, I'd say. Yeah, 2006. So YouTube was like just becoming a thing at the time, but it was there.
Brand new. At least around
And
here anyway.
There was just loads of videos that Mike Portnoy had up. He had like Drums of Thought and shit like that, and I just always watching Mike Portnoy videos. And then as it went on, I was definitely into heavier stuff at the time, like Slipknot and Mudvayne and stuff like that. And I'd say it was probably around 14, 15, I was starting to get more into classical, like 60s, 70s rock.
Yeah, for sure.
And right away, John Bonham I was just hooked.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, I had all the Led Zeppelin albums, just blaring them in my little Chevy Cavalier, cruising around town, listening to all Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And it honestly wasn't until later, like I had listened to some Tool at that time, but I wasn't really into Tool.
Yeah.
And it was probably around when I was, I'd say like 18 or 19, I started getting more into Tool. And then later into my early 20s, I got even more into them and like trying to figure out what the hell Danny was doing on the kit and everything. And
For sure.
Danny Carey's been definitely the biggest influence of all my drumming time, but all those drummers, I definitely stem a lot of my influence from all of them, for sure.
Oh, man, for sure. I mean, there's so much music out there and so many different varieties of genres, and it's...
it's real.
It's easy to get, make that puzzle from different pieces,
Yeah,
from
and even like Tim Herb Alexander from Primus.
Yeah.
He's even done a lot of Pussifers albums too, like Via's for Vagina, because I did that cover, Queen Bee.
Yeah.
And I was looking up, I was like, well, who did the drums on this? And it was Tim Alexander from Primus. He did all the studio work and everything.
Nice. I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah, Tim Alexander's, he's a phenomenal drummer. And then you got like drummers like Elon Rubin. He's the drummer for 9 Inch Nails right now. And he has been since I think 2010 or even earlier than that, maybe 2008. He was well known like as a kid. I think he was like 11 or 12, and he was already like known pretty well at the time. He's a phenomenal drummer, Elon Rubin. And like Jonathan Theodore from Mars Volta. Yeah. That's why I have the stack down there. I got my China stack on top of my cymbal. That's my Jonathan Theodore little homage
right on.
there.
Hell yeah, brother.
But I'd say that's pretty good.
Nice.
Wide array of what I'm
that's great.
Influenced by.
For sure. That's an awesome list of bands, and I'd say I'll start off for myself. And I know Logan just did a podcast not too long ago with Tony.
Everything at Once.
Everything at Once Studios, yeah. And
but shout out to Tony too.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah, quick shout out to Tony, and we did the Treehouse series that he did last year, and it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Good dude. What's up, Tony? That was a lot of fun, and I liked hearing our song and that variety, like unplugged. It was cool.
Yeah.
Plus, if we need to play sometimes festivals or whatnot, they have like it's more toned down, and they don't like the loud craziness as much. We could do that,
do that,
for sure.
Possible to crank it down.
So we've been doing acoustic and tabla sets, but back to Logan, and I know he kind of mentioned it on there, but back at that house, this was Mike and I played 2012, whatnot, when we started playing. I had started listening to, becoming more interested in like digging deeper into exploring genres and music in general, like learning about history. Right around, I'd say 9th or 10th grade. I think it was probably 10th grade. Because it was different. Because like now, you remember the Now CDs and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's what I call Now 25.
Funk 25.
Funk 25.
Inside joke. That's a Derek reference.
Yeah.
As we were talking about Derek earlier.
Give me that bass.
But even back then, when you had those CDs, you'd get like, I remember there'd be pop, there'd be hip hop, there'd be like that's when like post grunge was popular. I remember like Crossfade Cold was on one, so you'd get you get introduced to some rock and whatnot. And, like it was way different back then. But unless you really like dug deep and learned, and then you're not gonna do that as much when you're 15, 16 years old. But that's kind of right when I did, and I think it was kind of like, I'm pretty sure it was Smells Like Teen Spirit that really like caught my ear, and this was been that song is, a little over 32 years old now. I'm talking about Nevermind, and back then it was only maybe 15.
That was what, 91, 92?
91, yeah.
91,
September 91 is when that came out.
It's a good song.
Yeah,
good
for
album,
sure.
too.
Yeah, for sure. But that kind of, like, right around there, I remember I started exploring, like, okay, there's more to the world of music than just what the radio is telling me and all, you know what I mean?
Right,
there's just, I began to seek out more than just what was being given to me. And like I said, it's 2012 then. Fast forward a little bit. So I had some, and I didn't. That was really like what it got me into like heavier music. It was like right around then, like where I got more into heavier music. So that was I'd say roughly, maybe like 2006 or 7.
You said that was your freshman year, sophomore year?
Yeah, between there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you playing anything at the time?
No. I didn't really start playing until 2012. Like I said, when Mike and I started playing. So like when him and I started playing together, him and I started playing. Period.
You graduated 2009 or 2010?
10.
Okay.
10. Yeah. So that's kind of what I got, and I just like history in general, or just kind of learning things, and I wanted to. I like comparing the decades and just learning stuff. So I wanted to listen to everything and just kind of like, hey, what is there? What's out there for? And then it was like 2012 when we started, and then like 2013 when we moved into the house. And we talked about that house. It was just like so. The camaraderie was just so great. Like I just felt we were all in the same energy, and like.
You'd even have passerbyers like, "Hey, you guys want to jam?"
Oh yeah, random people who just like
popped
popped in like complete strangers just popped in and just started playing.
That's funny.
Yeah, but like we were all on the same, and it might have been like all the trips we did or whatever, or just us always playing music together. But the main things we were listening to back then and jamming out to was we were number one largely influenced by grunge. And all that, like we were big, and I know Logan referenced that. That's
Alice
why
in Chains.
Yeah, all of it, Nirvana, all of it. And I know that's why. Or when Logan did his recent podcast with Tony, he mentioned that too. But we were also jamming out a lot to like the '60s, like psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
'60s and '70s too with Pink Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of we did a lot of punk with it. Like that was more Mike was such a punk guy back then, and it was a joke, but like he was like I don't even know. He was basically like wanted to be so hipster and so like anti-cool that if I like played anything that was like too close to metal or whatever, he'd be like, no, we can't do that. He 2012 was a weird time for us. I mean, we recorded that one EP with Tony Falco. I haven't seen Tony since October of 2017, like long ass time.
Okay.
I haven't seen him since then.
I met him once. It was a show when Mike was still in Dirty Leaf. They played out at Hunter's. And I met him out there for a brief minute. It was packed out there too. It was a packed show.
Yeah, I didn't make that show, but I remember seeing videos of it, and I know it was pretty. It was like their funnest show that they played.
Yeah,
for sure.
My one of my buddies ended up walking home a little inebriated. We offered him a ride, but he didn't want to. You know who you are. I'm not gonna throw your name out there.
That's
but
hilarious. I don't know.
It was a funny story. It was.
That's
funny.
Awesome. That is funny. You know who you are. Hopefully they watched this long enough to see that.
That's funny.
But yeah, Tony started playing because I'm the one who introduced Tony into the circle because again, just like my previous story with Izzy, I worked with Tony. And him and I were just talking music, and I said, "Hey, me and my friend Mike are trying to play in a band," and and he's like, Tony's like, "Oh yeah," freaking Tony. So, we were jamming with Tony. He was the main drummer in those early days, but we did like an EP at Derek's house, we were calling ourselves Deadpan back then. It was brief, but it was fun. But like,
I don't know if I've ever heard that.
yeah,
I don't know if I ever heard that you guys had the band name Deadpan.
Deadpan, yeah.
That's cool.
I still got that. It might be on this one of the thumb drives. I have all of our old recordings, and I know I definitely have it on my old computer.
So this was like before you guys went to, what was it, Pete's?
Yeah, before
recorded
Pete's.
at
Yes,
Pete's.
yes,
Okay.
before Pete's. This was early. This was 2012, before I even moved into that house on North Main Street.
Okay.
But we did all that. We recorded Deadpan out at Derek's parents' house, and Derek did all. And he contributed a little bit. It was mainly, literally like 90% of it. 95% of it is just me and Tony. I'm playing guitar. He's playing drums, and then sometimes he played real bass. Mike wasn't even playing bass yet. Literally the only thing Mike did was he did like a one or two songs, and he did like a bend on a string. I'll have to get that EP out. But anyway, why I even brought this up is like those early days. Mike was just a super punk. He was a super punk, and he like simultaneously wanted me to make something that had never been done before. It had to be like never been done before, and it couldn't be like too complex like metal. It had to be like kind of like punk, but never done before. It was literally impossible. I remember
something to work with only being freshly into playing music. And
yeah, it was like it had to be like never been done before, and like couldn't be too technical or couldn't sound like metal or anything. I'm like, you're
Dude,
really making this difficult on me. Like,
not to interrupt you, but that reminds me, like when I first started playing drums, I'd tell my friends like, yeah, I can play AC/DC. That's easy. And then then they had me come over, and my one friend had a kit at his house. And at that time, I had played the drums, but I didn't have my kit yet. And they were like, well, play this AC/DC song. And I was like, oh, shit. So I was only like, I had maybe played the drums twice prior to that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, anybody can play AC/DC.
like I know this song. Duh, I can do this.
Not to bash on AC. I love AC/DC.
Yeah, we just played at the Craps House. We were talking about that show earlier. We played with what's her name?
Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Thunderstruck.
They were a tribute band.
Shout out to them.
That
If
was awesome.
you guys want to see a band that's pretty much damn near AC/DC, that's them.
That's them.
They the only thing they were missing was their drummer didn't have a cigarette hanging out of his mouth the whole time. But other than that, they all looked exactly like them, and they sounded great. It was cool.
Yeah.
Is it live, huh? Yeah, we live.
This is live.
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Had some technical difficulties.
We're back.
That was a 256 gig memory card that is completely full now.
That shows how busy we've been. We're talking about
we're pretty close to an hour. We can go a little over. It doesn't matter to me how long we go, but I didn't know if.
For sure, I've been keeping track actually.
But I did want to hear more about your influences, though.
Oh yeah, we got a little bit. I'd say just maybe like 15, 20 minutes more.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, influences. I'll backtrack a little bit. High school, I talked about how like Smells Like Teen Spirit, or like I wanted to branch out, and I just started studying all kinds of eras and genres. But I really listened to a lot of like new metal, like Linkin Park, Korn, System of a Down for sure.
Just one of those days.
A lot of grunge, heavier shit too, like Metallica, Pantera. That was like high school. But I also listened to a lot of like the bridge that we were talking about. Those bridges too, like the poppier sound stuff. Maybe with like hair metal and on occasion. Like I still like Motley Crue. I think Motley Crue and Skid Row are pretty good for hair metal. Those are probably my two favorite. But I did listen to more post grunge type stuff too. I'd put up like maybe like Breaking Benjamin too, you know. But this is like high school when I was like.
That's all stuff I'll still listen to today.
For sure. Oh, a lot.
Breaking Benjamin came on my radio the other day.
Yeah, they're dope.
And I was fucking.
Yeah, they're dope. Some of those other bands maybe not so much, like Shine Down or something like that, but definitely Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that was like high school. They say like 2007 to like maybe I graduated in 2010, but like maybe to like 2011. And then 2012 when Mike and I started playing. In 2013 we were in the house. Yeah, 2013 that like it was a lot of, like I said, grunge, like punk, and also like the psychedelic type stuff. But a little more. I also started. It was like 2012 when I started listening to reggae, and that's not an influence on anything I do in this band and most of my music in general. But I love reggae and I listen to a lot of it. But it was about 2012 when I like really started to get more into like Sublime and whatnot. But later on, I just from that time period on is kind of what I listen to now. But I love so many different. I could probably name off the top of my head probably 30 different rock genres right now. But there's like, I don't know, 5 to 10, and definitely up to 10 where I like really like and I kind of like listen to. But my main influences for our band, of course, we've been talking about Tool. So like Adam Jones and prog rock. I love. I'm probably the main. I know you a little bit now too. Excuse me. And
nice.
Izzy with the sword and whatnot, and I know I introduced Mike to Caius and Stoner Rock is about what I'm trying to say. I'm probably the most. I bring the biggest piece. Yeah, I bring his piece of Stoner Rock into the band, but I introduced him to Caius in 2013. But that's my other main influence. I love and Stoner Rock for anybody. It's also called Desert Rock, and basically circa 90s. I think it's kind of like if you combine Black Sabbath, a little bit of grunge too, got some bluesy going on. Love that fuzzed out goodness, but
he kind of took a little bit of that with him too when he did Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, not as much, but
like one song that sticks out is the song for the Dead.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's such a badass song.
On drum too.
Oh yeah, Dave Grohl. Yeah, that's so good.
Definitely dope. But a lot of stoner bands, but one primarily is Caius. That's probably my other main influence. But yeah, so many different ones. And like art, I've been saying like Tools, like what response we get that we sound like the most. But I think number 2 is probably The Sword. And they got some major stoner influences too. A little bit later on the scene and a little bit more heavy metaler, but yeah.
I was pretty surprised, the one guy, when he said that to us one day. It kind of sounded like The Sword up there. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Yeah. We were just playing originals. But
I feel like they're pretty well known, but I feel like not a lot of people know about
The
Sword.
For sure. Other influences, I'm big into, I mentioned nu metal. I love nu metal, but I'm, like I were talking about earlier, I'm more like the, Mike and I being switched, I'm more the rhythm guy, but in terms of like my influences, Deftones for sure. I bring Deftones for sure because of like the atmosphere of the guitar, all of that. I'm big into like dreamy guitars and atmospheres and with the heaviness too. I love Deftones. They're definitely a huge influence. Number 4, I'd probably say, going back to the grunge, but out of the grunge bands, Alice in Chains, Jerry Cantrell. Just his riffs, solos, he has that little bluesiness to it. Definitely a big, huge influence on me. I love their harmonies, and they're just an amazing band. Amazing band. And number 5, I'll go with System of a Down.
Okay.
They play in Drop C too.
I don't know his name. I should, for as much System of a Down. That's it.
Darren's his name. But yeah, that's probably my 5th. I used to probably. Maybe number 6 would be like Tom Morello or something like that. Just because I have that like grooviness to my playing. But yeah, those are kind of my main influences. I listen to so many different genres, but I'd say those 5 that I mentioned are probably the closest thing that would go into our band anyway.
It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid 5.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm like talking to older people, because they're like, "Oh, you're in a band," and I'll just. What do you play? And I'm like, I don't usually want to tell them my name. Not that I don't care, but I'm like, they're gonna be like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
What is that? Like, what do you play? I'm like, well, I usually just tell them like I play like, I'm like, oh, it's like 90s rock and metal. That's kind of what I tell them, just for like an easiest thing to tell people. I'm like, because if all those bands I mentioned, Tool, Caius, Alice in Chains, Deftones, System of a Down. I mean, all of them put something out in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so basically, that's my biggest influences, or a lot of like, but bands outside my top 5 that I love that are like in my like personal listening bands, and also might have an influence. I love John. I know John and I both love Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd's definitely amazing.
Big time. Yeah, Nick Mason, the drummer for Floyd. I wouldn't say he's a huge influence, but he is definitely like a very in the pocket drummer. Obviously, like just sticks with what he's playing, but very he could be a little technical at times. Sometimes, definitely like my favorites by them, which Mike introduced me to, was Echoes live at Pompeii. I go back and watch that at least like once a week. It's so good. Yeah, just that band in general, definitely a big influence for sure.
Some other genres I love that aren't really influences as much. It's so huge still today, but metalcore, I like my version of metalcore is like that I prefer is like the melodic metalcore, or like maybe like Killswitch Engage. Like,
I love Killswitch.
Yeah, for sure. I love them. Yeah. Anything 90s. I could just so many genres that and bands that I like that aren't necessarily influences per se, but yeah, those ones that I mentioned, I'm basically influenced by like prog rock, stoner rock, the grooviness of like new metal, certain things, but primarily like Deftones, which is more like soundscapey, dreamy type guitars, and then grunge and like the bluesy.
They were definitely pretty
grunge.
Heavy on their first album, weren't they? They were heavier Deftones.
Oh yeah, they were more new metal. They were raw. I wouldn't call them as heavy. It's heavier, but it's they were tuned in E standard.
I mean, they're still heavy, but
what I mean. They were tuned in E standard on that guitar. Now they have like 9-string guitars. You know what I mean? They're way like bassier now. But I had to do that bassier. But yeah, it was definitely more raw. But yeah, all those bands I love them, and kind of bands that are similar to those. But yeah, I know, and yeah, we talked about 60s. Probably 60s through, I don't know, maybe early 2000s, 2002. That's kind of where I get my influences from. But yeah, those aforementioned bands primarily. I know Mike's a big Grateful Dead fan, and he's, like I said, the rest of the guys can tell you their influences here when they're here. They'll be around and
we'll have them on. Yeah,
we'll have guests on too, and
that'd be funny.
We'll be a little bit more relaxed on future ones too.
We have Mike, Izzy, and Sage on as guests.
As guests, yeah. Hey, you're guests on your own podcast and your own band. What about? We'll just end on a few more. What kind of gear? You mentioned your first set over there. What are you playing these days?
So right now I have a Ludwig New Sonic drum kit with the 24-inch kick bass, which I wanted to go with because I wanted something really John Bonham-y, really boomy, which I think after playing it for some time now, I love resonance from the drums. I love resonance from anything, really. But I think, especially for practice reasons, I should get a pillow in my bass drum because it's fucking loud.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I like it. I love it. And it was just a 3-piece. I got the bass. I got a 13-inch rack tom, 16-inch floor tom. And then I found a guy that was selling a New Sonic kit on Reverb. He was out of New Mexico, I think, and he had a 10-inch and a 12-inch matching rack tom to match the black velvet that I have. And I was like, fuck yeah, because my old kit, it's also a Ludwig. It's a 1971 Ringo Starr replica. It's got that, I forget what they call that color scheme, but I had 4 rack toms, so that was my that was like my big kind of worry getting a new kit. Is like, man, how am I going to have 4 rack toms? They're all going to be different colors and shit, because I kind of got like OCD with stuff like that, but
for sure
I would have made it work. And found that guy, he had matching rack toms, got those, and then I had my Ludwig accents, the 8 and the 10-inch, so I just kept the 8 on there, which was already black, and got this nice blacked out Johnny Cash color style kind of kit. And all Zildjian cymbals, minus the new Sabian cymbal, which is Mike's, because I cracked one of my old Zildjians. Wuhans, the Chinas, which are, geez, man, you can get a Wuhan China cymbal for, I think they're like $70 or $80. They're dirt cheap and they sound amazing.
Yeah.
The one that I have has rivets in it, which is really cool. And and then I got Simmons PK7SD, I think is what it is. It's one of the lower end electronic drum kits, but it's part of my hybrid kit because I also have electronic pads, which is how I have my tabla settings. I have like a conga slap on the one, a tabla slap, and then I'll usually put another conga on the right side, but recently I've been using that. It's called like a tom. It's called a floor tom on the brain, but it sounds like an 808. It's fucking sweet hitting that thing.
It's fucking awesome.
I love that. Boom. But
I love those additions. Thanks to Sage for giving him the tabla. Like, didn't he introduce you to like the tablas you bought, Sage?
He did, yeah. He sent me he's like, hey, this kid's selling this kit. I think it was down in Greenville. I went and picked it up. It's $100. Didn't even try to haggle with him. I was like, dude, take my money. I was just going to use it for practice. I was going to use the kit for practice. And then I brought it home and I'm like, oh, I downloaded the manual on my phone. I was like, oh, it's got tablas on it. So I like immediately just took the whole thing apart and I'm like, okay, how can I get this on my drum rack? And I figured it out and I did it. And
yeah, like I mean, you're just awesome drummer in general, but like what people at shows, I think when they hear those tablas, they're like, wow, like that's awesome. And you don't normally get to hear that too many places, you know?
No.
It's awesome for sure.
And that's also big Danny Carey.
Yeah,
I had heard tablas before, but I never got into them until I started listening to more Tool.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Like we were talking about practice too, and all those, like Izzy said something about like being a bass heavy band, but all those bands and genres I mentioned, they're super bass heavy. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
There's like, you know, Tool, Caius, like new metal, that's super bassy. You know what I mean? Like super bass heavy.
A lot of pick action.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's cool. And then I got the drum rack too, the Gibraltar drum rack, which was a nice step up. I had like fucking 10 cymbal stands. We'd have to lug upstairs and shit. So, and the drum rack holds my toms and the cymbals, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, pretty much all Ludwig. Even my double bass pedal is a Ludwig, which I'm probably gonna say goodbye to that at some point in time.
I remember he sadly had to play the one band's kit at the Craft House, so we missed out. Like, they missed out on hearing our sound because it's a totally different sound when John has his full drum kit. But
yeah, I didn't have my pads or nothing.
I remember saying the one thing you were super excited about was that the double bass.
He had Iron Cobras.
Yeah.
And I had tested them out at a music store once before, but never got to actually use them. And I loved the tension on them because they had more tension than mine do.
For sure. Maybe
I just need to up the tension. But my pedals are like, the floorboard's like the pins coming out, and it's like all wobbly. And
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for mine. What do you got going on with your rig?
Well, we kind of hot rodded my guitar. We put some Seymour Duncans in. It's a Epiphone SG, but we kind of made it our own. That's what I'm rolling. Black color for the guitar. I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty sweet. And then I got I forget what kind of volume pedal it is, but I got a volume pedal. I think it might be Eddie Van Halen. And then I just recently added the Tube Screamer Overdrive, the Ibanez.
Okay.
I haven't used it really with my.
Is that the green one?
The green one, yeah.
The green one, yeah.
I was kind of hesitant because I've joked around a few times. I got like an accidental color scheme because all my other pedals are like pink and purple and red.
Right.
But I figured to at least try it out, and for certain songs I added that. I'll have to get a few more pedals, and I don't actually have a pedal board yet, so like I'm gonna get an actual pedal board, and I still gotta add maybe 3 more pedals to it before I'm satisfied. I've been looking at a few other ones, but I got the Rev on company out of Canada on my distortion pedal, and that one's super heavy and saturated. That's the red pedal. And then I got a Boss BF2 flanger. That's my next pedal.
Okay.
I use that on a handful of songs, like the One Sweet Part and Rooted, the build up there.
Okay, yeah.
I got the famous Electro Harmonics small clone chorus pedal. That's the other one Kurt Cobain used on Nevermind and like Come As You Are.
Okay.
But yeah, I got that for my chorus pedal. I got a Fuzzlord delay pedal. Fuzzlord's a sweet company. He's out of, I think, Eugene, Oregon. But, you know, a lot of doom and stoner stuff and a lot of sweet pedals. But I got a Fuzzlord for my delay. And then what else I got? I got a Crybaby for my wah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I got Josh Homme's TubeWorks amp that he used it with Caius. Yeah.
Nice.
I got that for my amp.
Is it the same style, or did he have like a...
I mean, throughout history, I know like people's change. I don't know exactly when.
I don't know if they ever made cabs or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't. I know, you know, you heard them playing out of like bass amps too.
Oh, okay.
Like guitars through bass amps, but I know at some point in his discography, I don't know if it's early Queens of the Stone Age, but I think it was Caius too. But like that, he used that amp. But yeah, that's rounded out my gear so far. I got to add a reverb pedal. I've been looking at a few other ones too that I want to add, but
I love the sound of that SG. It sounds nice.
For sure, yeah.
It's
that
sweet.
with the distortion going into like, cause like I don't really I have fuzz pedals too. I gotta incorporate those into. I want to do some more like occasionally do some really fuzzy like stoner songs, but I like the sound, the combination of the rev, that like really saturated distortion pedal and like my loud ass TubeWorks amp. It's not it's still distortion, but it's almost like raunchy enough. It kind of sounds like a fuzz pedal too.
You got it on there's like 2 channels on it. You got it on the clean channel, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean the rev pedal, that my distortion pedal, it packs a lot of punch.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, those combination kind of like like my goal for of course different songs, different tones. But like my ideal tone that I'm thinking is kind of like I've heard the term used for certain pedals called like a fuzz distortion. Like it's kind of like a hybrid between like a fuzz and a distortion. But like my ideal tone for like chunk would be like a kind of a combination. Like really raunchy like a fuzz, but not, fuzzes don't really chug a whole lot, so like some more balls to it of like of a distortion. So like a combination of one that's like fuzzier and like dirty but also kind of chugs. Like that's my ideal tone, and I got a pretty good pretty satisfied with what I got going on with the rev and the SG into the TubeWorks for sure.
Yeah, it sounds sweet.
Yeah. Dynamics in our songs and throughout our song with different band members can never go wrong, and gives the songs more flavor anyway. Any other things you guys want to like put them in the direction of some of our social media? I know we talked about it earlier, but like
anybody that wants to follow us, this will be up. I'm just gonna put this on our YouTube. We have a YouTube channel which is just Myconaut.
Got a lot of old jams on there too on the YouTube channel.
Yes, I'm gonna have to like make a playlist eventually, because now we're gonna have the podcast.
Yeah,
new music coming out, and plus the old garage tapes that we got out there. But yeah, on YouTube, Myconaut, Facebook, Myconaut.
We got a couple of our shows on there too. I know we have, like we mentioned, Tony in the Treehouse. That's on there. At least you can find it if you look us up on YouTube. But we have you posted the Metal Massacre on our channel, right?
No, I was gonna say it because you had just said that, and we don't have the Treehouse or the Metal Massacre on our channel.
Don't we have Headload though? Don't we have? I swear we have one of them on there.
We have Headload, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we have from Metal Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have that on our channel. I didn't. The only reason I didn't is because I had asked Jay about it later, and he's like, "Yeah, man, this is yours. Do whatever you want with it." Because I didn't want to like take it and put it on our channel, because he's putting it on his channel.
For sure.
100%. But Yeah, we're free to put all that stuff on our channel, so I'm gonna eventually do that as well. Instagram, Myconaut Band Official. Check us out on there. We're on Spotify, Myconaut. I think that's about it. Bandcamp. Apple
In our
Music, all
website,
that
what's the
stuff.
website? Just the link from Facebook.
Yeah, there's
Basically.
a link on Facebook, myconautband.com/wix.com, wixsite.com.
We're on Spotify, and we have a Bandcamp, don't we?
Yeah, we have a Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. I thought so.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think that's about it. So
Pretty close. It's our first podcast, but I wanted to definitely do a few things and say thank you to everybody, all the bands that have helped us out, anybody who's bought gear. We should say that too, but we do have some merch. We have shirts and stickers if you want to buy. That's eventually going to be on the website, or is it on there?
yeah, we have to. Eventually, I want to do it soon. We have to buy a domain so we own our website, and
Right.
then we can sell merch and tickets on there. So like tickets for our shows and everything. So
Yeah, and you could always usually remind people or make a post on Facebook about it, but you can always mention or message the band or contact one of the members. But yeah, thank you to everybody who supported us throughout this past, I don't know, year and a half that we've been playing.
yes,
Bought our shirts, our merch, came to our show.
everyone that's supporting and throwing our name out there,
Yeah.
giving us shows.
Giving us shows.
Auditrocity especially. They're one of the first bands that we were really introduced to through
For sure.
Ager, and they've done a lot helping us
For
out.
sure. Yeah,
so.
definitely them, but so many local bands, but definitely
For sure.
Auditrocity.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. As I say, definitely try to catch us around in the near future. If you do want to come to the Pittsburgh show, we're now selling them online. So if you want tickets for the March 17th show at the Hard Rock Cafe, please, like I said, you could find the link through our page.
Had to find that out the hard way.
Yeah, I drove to Pittsburgh and
so shitty
for
dude.
nothing. Drove to
Oh
Pittsburgh
my
for
God.
nothing.
But yeah,
But yeah, that one, and I would say come have a good time with us. If you can't make the Philly show on March 2nd, definitely have a good time with us on March 30th at Voodoo in Meadville.
yes, that'll be
John and I playing with Fungi Flows, and
Land of Panda and Higher Vibrations. That's a pretty sweet lineup.
yeah, we're not going to be full band there, but you can check us. It's a pretty unique situation with Fungi Flows coming to Meadville, and
Was that Ager that put that on?
that show?
Yeah.
I don't think he did.
Oh,
He was
okay.
telling me about it. Like, I think, what's that? Idle Star? I think Idle Star did it.
Idle Star. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Um,
And then Land of Panda was the one who got Fungi and whatnot. So
because I was gonna give Ager a shout out too, because
I mean, give Ager a shout out.
even though it's the very end of the podcast, but hey,
Yeah, we're thanking
Brandon-
people now. It's perfect.
Right. Brandon Ager
Yeah.
of Meadville. He does most of the booking at Voodoo downtown Meadville and runs the open mic on Thursdays, which is from 7 to 9
Yeah,
every Thursday.
I'm generally there unless I work, but yeah, go check out Open Mic at Voodoo. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's-
thanks to Brandon. He's got us a lot of shows. I know he's taking a lot of pictures of us too. But thanks to
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah,
Big support.
anybody who supported us, or we just want to thank you, and we're hoping to see you here. Come party with us and have a good time and enjoy the music. But thanks everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Hardcore by any name. It's the same fucking thing.